The Architecture of Resilience, Breaking the Loop of Learned Helplessness. Where do you stand in the labyrinth of your life right now? Are you frozen, staring at a massive concrete wall that seems to reach the sky? On that wall, you might see names carved in stone: failure, frustration, or impossible. We all tend to live haunted by the ghosts of our past. A single memory of a failed project, the sting of rejection, or the persistent whisper that we are falling behind. These are not merely memories. They act as heavy, immovable periods we place at the end of our own life's sentences. I am not enough. This is the end of my road. We stop right there, paralyzed in front of the period we drew with our own hands, never checking if there is a hidden door or a wider horizon. We mistakenly accept that static period as the final result of our existence. But is that really the truth? Is that dead end truly the finish line? To understand this paralysis, we must look into the mirrors of nature. Science provides two profound stories, one of a rat consumed by despair, and another of a cat that found unexpected success. These reveal why we freeze and, more importantly, how we can dismantle the machinery of defeatism. By diving into these mechanisms, you will find the strength to erase those premature periods and replace them with vibrant exclamation points. The first story takes us to the 1960s into psychologist Martin Seligman's laboratory. In this experiment, two groups of rats were placed in chambers, where the floor delivered unpredictable electric shocks. The first group had a lever when the shock began, pressing. It stopped the electricity immediately. These rats learned a vital lesson. My actions have consequences. I can control my pain. They remained healthy, active, and mentally resilient because they had a sense of agency. However, the second group's lever did nothing. No matter how much they ran or scratched, the shocks continued. According to a schedule they could not influence, they were trapped in a world of unavoidable pain. At first they fought, but eventually they stopped. When the floor hummed with electricity, they no longer sought an exit. They simply lay down and waited for the pain to end. They had learned helplessness. The true horror revealed itself. When these helpless rats were moved to a new box, here, escape was effortless. All they had to do was hop over a tiny, low barrier to reach a safe zone with food. The exit was visible. The solution was simple, but the rats did not move. Even as the shocks began, they sat staring at the safety of the other side, refusing to attempt the jump. Their bodies were capable, but their minds were imprisoned by the ghost of unavoidable failure. They had accepted the period. This phenomenon is the silent thief of human potential. When we experience repeated setbacks, failing exams, being rejected by employers, or watching a business crumble, we become like those rats. We stop looking for the low barrier because we are convinced the floor will always shock us. This helplessness can even calcify into collective societal trauma. Consider dark chapters of history, like the suffocating air of Nazi concentration camps or colonial oppression. A massive weight of powerlessness convinced many that resistance was madness. What can one person do against such a giant? This was the collective learned helplessness of a nation. Yet, history also gives us the antithesis of the helpless rat. The resistors and independence fighters who refused to let the weight of the world crush their will. These people did not wait for a guaranteed victory. Instead, they focused on the smallest lever they could press in their current position. They looked at the maze and decided that even if they couldn't see the exit, they would record every step they took. They understood that while the situation was overwhelming, their reaction to it was the only territory they still owned. They fought the instinct to lie down and take the pain. This brings us to the vital concept of the save point. In a video game, the save point ensures your progress is not lost. It tells us you made it this far. Your effort is validated. The save point is the bridge that carries us over the canyon of giving up. In the real world, we often feel mistakes erase years of effort. This is where recording the act of keeping an honest journal becomes revolutionary. A journal is your personal save point. When you are lost in the maze, a record allows you to look back. If you hit a dead end, the person who doesn't record thinks, I am a failure. But the person who records thinks, I made it to point B, then took a wrong turn at point C. I just need to go back to point B. By documenting your efforts and specific failures, you separate the error from the self. You say the path was wrong, but the walker is still moving. This creates a compass, turning the period of failure into a brief pause before the next clause begins. It is the only way to ensure you don't repeat the same painful lessons indefinitely. To see the power of this movement, look at the second animal, the cat in Edward Thorndike's puzzle box. A hungry cat is locked in a box with food just outside. To open the door, it must perform a specific action, like pressing a pedal. The cat doesn't have a grand strategy, it simply thrashes. It scratches, bites, and paws at everything. This is trial and error in its purest form. Suddenly, it accidentally hits the pedal. The door clicks open. As the experiment is repeated, the cat spends less time biting the bars and more time near the pedal. Eventually, it becomes a master. The moment it is put in the box, it walks straight to the pedal and exits. This is the law of effect. Because the action led to a reward, the brain strengthened the connection. The cat didn't need to be a genius. It just needed to keep moving until it stumbled upon success. This is the secret to breaking the loop. We often wait for a perfect plan before we act, becoming like the stationary rat. The solution is to become the thrashing cat. You must throw yourself into the environment of trial and error. You must be willing to make meaningless movements, because one of those movements will eventually hit the pedal. The world is a series of puzzle boxes, and we have the ability to keep pawing at the levers. The intersection of these stories is where transformation begins. The rat teaches the danger of stillness and the poison of past trauma. The cat teaches the power of persistent, even random action. And your record, the save point, teaches you how to bridge the two. If you feel stagnant, it is not a permanent state. It is a biological response to perceived lack of control. To regain it, you don't need to conquer the world. You just need to press one small pedal today. Make a choice so small it is impossible to fail. Write one sentence. Walk for 5 minutes. Clean one corner of your room. These are your pedals. When you do them, you get a micro-reward, a sense of completion. Then most importantly, record it. Mark it in your save point. You are retraining your brain to move away from the rat's paralysis toward the cat's mastery. You are proving that the floor is no longer shocking. You and the barrier is lower than it looks. Success is not a grand singular event. It is the accumulation of 1,000 tiny clicks of a door opening. It is the result of refusing to let a dead end be the place where you stay. You have the power to erase the period that failure tried to write. You have the power to look at the maze. Find your last save point and take one more step. The ghost of the past has no power over the person who is willing to keep moving, keep trying, and keep recording. Today, stop staring at the wall. Find your pedal. Press it. Save your progress. And then keep going. Your next chapter is waiting for you to write it.